Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Mr. Safiyuddin, as a lecturer of Speaking for Formal Setting course, and all my friends who are watching this video. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Putri Rahwati, and I'm an English student of Tarbiyah faculty at UNISNU Jepara. So, as a student of Education Department, it's important to know about the various techniques in teaching, especially in English subject, in order to make a fun learning and to optimize the delivery materials. So today, we will discuss about the collaborative learning techniques, which is one of the teaching techniques to improve the effectiveness and to do both affordably and efficiently in learning process. Because in teaching, the teachers cannot simply transfer their knowledge to students, but the students must put their own understanding, their own mind understanding through a process of assimilating information into their own understanding. And it can be achieved with one of the teaching techniques that we will discuss today, and that is collaborative learning techniques. It's important to know the meaning of collaborative learning techniques that can be abbreviated as a COLTS. But what is it? It is one of the learning techniques that the student will learn in a small group work instead of learning alone in sharing learning goals. So the main point of collaborative learning techniques is the students will not learn in individual activity, but they will learn in a group work or in a pair. So the students can share their understanding to others, and they also can get another perspective about the materials, and finally they can get a deeper understanding about the material or about the subject. There are 5 broad categories of collaborative learning techniques, and the first is discussion, and the next is reciprocal peer teaching, and then problem solving, graphic information organizers, and the last is writing. But today we won't discuss about those 5 broad categories, but we will discuss only one categories because of the limited of the time, and that is discussion. Discussion is the one of the most popular technique in teaching. Why? Because first, it encourages students to speak up, as we know that speaking is important in our life. So the discussion technique will teach students how to speak up bravely in front of people. And the next is increasing awareness of ambiguity and complexity. So one of the purpose of education is to prepare the students to live in the bigger environmental. And we know that the one of the characteristic of environment is ambiguity and complexity. So when the students have learned this at school, at college, or at the university, they will not be shocked when they face the ambiguity and complexity in a social life. And the next is to teach to be attentive and respectful listener. In discussion, the students will not only learn how to speak up, but they also learn how to be a good listener. And a good listener is attentive and respect to the people who are speaking up. And the next is to formulate the student's idea. Like I said before, that in teaching, the teachers cannot simply transfer their knowledge to the students, but the students have to formulate their own ideas. And this discussion technique will help the students to formulate that ideas. And the next is to learn to communicate. A good communication can make a good understanding and a good relation. And the last but not least is to expose multiple perspectives. Because in the discussion, they will face many perspectives, and that will develop students to be more tolerant with others' perspectives. And the next is discussion techniques in collaborative learning. Actually, there are 6 common techniques in discussion, but today we will only discuss about the 3 of them. The first is think, pair, share, and then talking tips, and the last is critical debate. So first of all, it's about the think, pair, share. What is it? In think, pair, share technique, the students will think individually for a few minutes and then discuss and compare their responses with partner before sharing with the entire class. So the think component will help students to recognize and to collect the thought before they speak up. And the pair and share components will help students to share, to compare, and to contrast their understanding with others before they speak up in the public, in the entire class. There are some procedures that can be used to adapt this technique. First is post the question to the class and give students time to think about the response. And this is the think section. And the next is ask students to pair with student nearby. And this is the pair section. And then ask students to share their idea with each other. And this is the sharing. And the last is every pair write their idea on the board or share them by speak up. And this helps students to speak up, to be a brave speaker. So the next is talking chips. In this talking chips techniques, the students participate in a group discussion, surrendering a token each time they speak. So the function of the token here is as a permission before the students share their opinion. So before the students share their opinion, they have to put the token into a bowl that is located in the middle of the table. So there are some procedures in this technique. First is form the students group. It can be formed based on the amount of the classroom and the amount of the students in the classroom. And the next is give every student token that will serve a permission to share the opinion. So the teachers also have to explain the rules of this strategy, of this technique. And the next is ask students to participate equally in a group discussion. So every student will have the same opportunity to share their thought. And the next is after all students have contributed, ask students to retrieve and redistribute the chips for the next discussion section. And those are talking tips. And the last one is critical debate. So in this critical debate technique, the individual students select the side of an issue that is contrary to their own views. Then they form a team and discuss, present, and argue the issue against the opposing team. I think critical debate is the most interesting technique in teaching because in debate can increase the motivation of students to learn something and to promote the critical thinking, and finally they can get a deeper understanding because they know more than one perspective. So the procedures of critical debate technique is first, prepare the controversial issue and ask students to identify which side of the proposition that they must support. And the next explain to students that they will argue with the side that is contrary to their own beliefs. And the third is divide students into 4 to 6 members of team. It depends on the amount of the class. And the next is explain the rule and give them time to prepare their arguments. And the next is pair teams representing opposing sides in a particular time. The particular time is conditional. It can be 10 minutes or 16 minutes. And the next is give team time to prepare rebuttals in a particular time. And the last is hold the whole class discussion to summarize points of the issue. So this is the teacher's contribution in the critical debate. And in the critical debate, the teacher become a facilitator that have to summarize the point of the issue that have been discussed in a discussion in a critical debate. So the students will know the straight point of that issue. So I think that's enough from me. Thank you for your great attention. But before closing the video, I would like to thank you to Mr. Safyuddin as our lecturer in speaking performance training course in this semester. And personally, I do apologize if I have many mistakes during this semester. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned today. I hope you learned something from this video, and have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.